Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week Wisdom and Legacy Building podcast. This is day 408 of our trek, and today is Philosophy Friday. Every Friday, we will ponder on some basic truth and the mysteries of life and how they can impact us in creating our living legacy. Today, we will review the concept of the cycles and seasons of life as we look at the concept of a time for everything. We are broadcasting from our studios at Home 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina. When this trek originally airs, we will be in Scottsdale and Mesa, Arizona, working with our partners Charles and Allison Meekum and Tim Guernsey. The 5 of us are members of the Arizona Development Company, and we are the general contractors for a funding group that is building a combination of townhomes and retail space in Mesa, Arizona. We also provide repairs, remodeling, and maintenance for the same funding group, who manages several multifamily housing units in the Phoenix area. Our focus of this trip is to streamline some accounting processes and review the progress that's being made on our current major project. As we progress through the phases of this project, it is similar to life. There is a time for everything that goes on within the construction project and a time for everything that happens within our lives. Rarely does a construction project or our lives run as smoothly as planned or that we hoped for. With both, we need to make adjustments and changes to the various cycles and seasons. Sometimes events and situations happen that we did not anticipate, and then we have to adapt. Sometimes we make mistakes and fail in some manner, and we have to learn the lesson and continue on. So for our trek for today, we will hike a trail called A Time for Everything. When you consider the entirety of life, we all pass through the 4 seasons, which most of us understand: the spring, summer, winter, and fall. What you may not grasp, though, is that you are constantly going through the cycles and seasons of life on a continual basis and in different areas of your life. The principles of planning and harvesting apply to everything that you do, so that you have to be continually ready for each season. If you are prepared for the current season, you will come to the understanding that each season of life will have its joys and sorrows. The magnitude and intensities of these joys and sorrows will be based on how well you managed and took advantage of the opportunities in the previous season. You cannot expect a time of harvesting in the spring or the time of planting in the fall. There is a proper time for everything, and if you are wise, you will understand that timing. The core focus of today's trek is taken from the book of Ecclesiastes. This passage was also a basis of a popular song written by Peter Seeger in the late 1950s and then made popular by the Byrds in the mid-60s under the title Turn, Turn, Turn. I remember it well, but it might be a bit before some of your times. The original motivation for the song was a plea for peace in the world during a very tumultuous time. If you do desire to gain wisdom and become wise, then you will come to realize that there is a time and season for everything that happens in your life. How joyful or sorrowful you are during each of these seasons will largely depend on your actions and attitudes in the previous seasons. It is not the season of life that you are currently in that matters, but how prepared you are for that season that will make all the difference. Let us read the first 8 verses of Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and learn the wisdom from King Solomon, who penned this book. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I can't read this passage without thinking of the song from the Byrds during the 1960s. Until you grasp and come to a full understanding of this passage, you will be continually plagued with the struggles and disappointment of every changing season of life. Preparation and faith are 2 requirements to live the rich and satisfying life that Jesus promised us in John chapter 10, verse 10. For everything there is a season, and a time for every activity under heaven. While you will not be able to control every situation that happens in your life, the more prepared you are, and the closer you follow the basic principles found in God's Word, the more joyful each season of life will be, regardless of the difficulties that you must face. You will never understand everything that happens to you, but to understand this concept more fully for our trek for today, let us continue with the passage in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and also include verses 9 through 13. What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded that there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are gifts from God. You need to be astute and follow God's principles so that each season of life will be an abundant season for you, even with its difficulties. Choose to be happy, to enjoy the fruit of your labors, because these truly are gifts from God. Today on our trek, we have come to the understanding that there is a time for everything. We would do well not to rush through life and miss what is important, because God does make everything beautiful for its own time. Let us be prepared for each season of life so that it is a joyful season even in the midst of difficulties. Let us take time to enjoy the fruit of our labor, but not to miss the opportunities of preparation that we need for the next season. On our next Philosophy Friday, we will trek through some practical principles and guidelines that can help you through all of life's seasons. Our next trek, though, will be Motivation Monday, where we will explore how true success requires humility, which will allow you to stay motivated and bring value to your world. So encourage your family and friends to join us, and then come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. Now we'll finish our trek for today. Just as you enjoy these daily doses of wisdom, we ask you to help us to grow Wisdom Trek by sharing it with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person when you meet with them, and invite them to come along with us each day. If you'd like to listen to any of the past daily treks, they are available at wisdom-trek.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Trek so that each day's trek will be downloaded to you automatically. I would also appreciate it if you would rate and review us on iTunes and Google Play so that others will find out about Wisdom Trek and join us each day. And the journal for today's trek is available at wisdom-trek.com. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you on Monday.